In this video, we're going to talk about the content-aware fill. We have this image here, and I'll quickly show you how the content-aware fill works by first selecting the lasso tool and making a selection around this car. The selection is going to be very loose. It doesn't have to be very precise. With that selection active, I can go into Edit, Fill, under Contents, make sure that Content-Aware is selected and that Color Adaptation is checked, and press OK. And Photoshop will automatically fill in that selection with pixels that are similar to those around the selection. And that works great to remove objects from images that are distracting. Now let me show you an advanced way of working with a selection. So I'm going to zoom in into the van, and I meant to say with a content-aware fill, not a selection. So what I'm going to do now is show you what happens when the content-aware doesn't work and how to make it work. So I'm going to go into Select, Load Selection, and I already have a selection saved in this document. This is just so we can save a little time and not spend too much time making that selection from scratch. So I have Van selected under Channel. The only option available is New Selection. Press OK, and that is going to make a selection around the van and around parts of the street, just because I also want to remove some of the elements on the street, like the speed bump in these areas here. If I go and do the same operation, Edit, Fill, Content-Aware, Color Adaptation is checked, press OK, the Content-Aware fill is going to look at other pixels in the image that are not relevant to the street, and it's going to apply them to the street, and obviously that doesn't look very realistic. So I'm going to undo that, Control-Alt-Z, Command-Option-Z on the Mac. And what we can do now is instead use an advanced feature to tell Photoshop what to sample. And it actually is very simple. Photoshop only samples the visible pixels in the layer. So if I create a layer mask, and actually I'll create the layer mask in a moment. For now, I'm going to add to the selection, excuse me. So I have the lasso tool selected, and I'm going to hold Shift and click and drag another similar areas as to the ones that I want to fill in this case, the street. So I'm selecting other parts of the street, like these areas here. And maybe I'll grab some of these pixels down here as well. And I'm going to pan over and maybe grab some of these. So now that I have the area that I want to select and other similar areas, I'm going to click on the layer mask thumbnail, and that is going to create a layer mask based on that selection. So now I can come back to the original van selection. So I'm going to go into Select, Load Selection, Van, press OK. So now I have the van and that part of the street selected once again. Make sure that the focus, this white outline around the layer mask, is on the layer, not the layer mask. So make sure the focus is on the layer, then go into Edit, Fill, and just press OK. Make sure the content-aware is selected, press OK. And notice that Photoshop will only use the visible pixels of the layer to fill that selection. I can press Control-D, Command-D to deselect. Then I can just simply right-click on the layer mask and delete it since I don't need it anymore. And notice now that the van is completely gone, and it's a much more realistic effect as to what we had originally without the layer mask.